My pregnant girlfriend keeps stealing. I threw her out because she refuses to pay rent or her share of the bills. Did I overreact? Me 26M and my girlfriend 22F moved in together like 10 months ago. At first she wanted to chip in with rent, which was cool, but I was kinda hesitant in case things didn't work out. Still, she insisted and paid up for a month. Then I stumbled upon some serious stuff. Turns out she's really struggling with money, like can't even cover basic expenses. Plus she's knee-deep in debt, barely scraping by from one month to the next. We had a chat, and she agreed that once she gets her debts sorted, she'd start contributing. Cut to Christmas, and I find out she's been nicking my clothes to gift them to her family. I posted about this craziness on here before. She straight up denied it for 2 whole weeks, even tried pinning it on me, until I busted out the footage from the living room camera. You know, the one I use to keep an eye on my dog when I'm out. After digging around a bit more, I find some letters and text on her phone that pretty much confirm my suspicions. Turns out she hasn't lifted a finger to tackle her debts. I call her out on it, and she hits me with this whole saga about how her mom and sisters are constantly hitting her up for cash. Like they've been guilt-tripping her for years, especially on payday, and she caves every time because she feels bad saying no. And get this, none of them ever pay her back. Her mom alone owes her over £6,000. She's been taking out loans left and right for her family, and they just leave her holding the bag. Her credit's shot to pieces now, but she still tries to take out more loans for them. Then to top it off, I find out she dropped £300 on gambling sites in just 20 minutes. I mean, seriously. And all the while, she hasn't put a single penny towards rent or bills. Sure, she'll splash out on groceries or a trip to Starbucks here and there, but come on. I finally lay down the law and tell her she needs to start pulling her weight. If she can dish out cash to her family and blow it on gambling, she can darn well contribute to the roof over her head. She's been taking me for a ride when she should have been sorting out her mess and being responsible. I make roughly 5 times what she does, but I've tried to be fair about splitting the bills based on our incomes. She pulls in around £1,400 a month and chips in £600, covering rent and her share of the bills. I cover the rest, which ends up being a lot more, but I figure it's only fair not to burden her with more than she can handle. Then, on the 1st of this month, she drops the bombshell that she can't cough up rent. Apparently, she's blown too much cash on Starbucks runs and grocery trips, and her attitude is basically, "I'll pay you when I pay you." She doesn't seem to get why I need it this month, especially since she's been living rent-free for the past 9 months anyway. I've asked her to break down where all her money's disappeared to, but she just throws accusations of me being controlling and tells me it's none of my business. Sure, she'll chip in when we go grocery shopping, but it's nowhere near as often as I do. So yesterday, I told her she's got to hit the road and find somewhere else to crash. Thing is, she's pregnant, and now she's trying to use that as leverage to make me feel guilty, making out like I've just booted her and our unborn kid onto the streets. Honestly, I feel like she's totally taking me for a ride, putting her family's needs way above ours. I mean, shouldn't she be focusing on building our own family instead of being a cash machine for them? How do I get her to see she's not playing fair here? Update. I had a serious chat with her early last week and laid down the law. I made it clear that we're a family now, especially since we're having a baby together. I told her straight up, if we're going to make this work, she's got to start being more transparent, pitching in, and stop racking up debts that end up on my doorstep when she can't pay up. Plus, I had this nagging feeling she's got a gambling issue and some hefty debts lurking in the shadows. She agreed to everything, promised to show me her bank statements whenever I asked, and said she'd start chipping in for bills. I thought, okay, maybe we're turning a corner here, and things started looking up. So she moves back in, right? Well, last night, I'm chilling next to her phone when it lights up with a text. It's from some lender saying her loan's been accepted, and my heart just sinks. I confront her and she starts bawling, saying she's broke again and had to resort to payday loans for some quick cash. I'm like, seriously? I told you no more loans. It's like talking to a brick wall sometimes. She also tells me she won't be able to afford to pay towards bills again. She's got a full-time gig, bringing in around £1,200 to £1,400 a month, depending on her hours. She's always calling in sick, so she ends up with way less in her pocket. I'm like, all right, let me see those bank statements, thinking maybe I can help her budget better. But she flat out refuses, calling me controlling and saying I don't need to snoop around her finances. That's when I hit my breaking point. I'm pretty darn sure she's either blowing it all again or gambling it away. So I throw out a scenario. Our kid's hungry and there's no food in the house. What's the plan? And her response, you'll have to cough up. I'm like, fine, I'll take care of my kid. cause clearly, the mom's not stepping up. Then I asked to peek at her Facebook Messenger, thinking maybe her family's hitting her up for cash again. But lo and behold, all the chats with her freeloading family are conveniently wiped clean. She claims she just likes to keep things tidy. But come on, my chats are still there. Something's fishy. I told her this isn't going to work, and she tells me I'm a controlling freak basically, and she agrees, and I've not heard from her since. Moral of the story is she's too damaged from her upbringing, I'm guessing, and some people you just can't change. She still messages me asking how I am, but I'm just ignoring her except from anything baby related. I need to move on. I know some people out there are questioning whether she's really pregnant or why I'd be dumb enough to get her pregnant. Yeah, I agree, not my brightest move. But let me clear that up. I've been to every scan, so yeah, she's definitely pregnant. As for whether it's mine, well, I've never had doubts about her cheating, but she's a master at spinning tales, so I'm going to push for a DNA test through the courts, just to be sure. I've been reaching out on different forums to get some unbiased advice, and let me tell ya, this whole story I've shared is 100% legit. Wish it wasn't, believe me. But right now, my focus is on putting as much distance between me and her as humanly possible for my own sanity. Final update. A while back, I found out she was crashing on family and friends' couches, and dumb as I am, I let her back in the house because she's pregnant. That was about 8 months into her pregnancy. Now I'm kicking myself for it, and let me tell you why. Not too long ago, I moved to a new place, and she helped out with packing and unpacking while I was out, mostly the unpacking part. Now I had this decent chunk of change stashed away in a drawer in the living room cabinet, like £400–500, a Christmas gift from my folks. During all this moving chaos, I also sold off some old furniture, including a sofa she really wanted me to sell to her mom. I wasn't too keen on the idea, but I caved in eventually. She said her mom kept asking to borrow the cash from her to buy it from me, promising to pay me back in a couple of weeks. I figured sure, no problem. So her mom swings by, hands me £100 up front, and says she'll cough up the rest in a week. But when that week rolls around, she's singing a different tune, saying she'll pay up next month and complaining that the sofa's falling apart. I'm like, hold up, it was fine when you picked it up, and I'm not coming over to inspect it now. Basically, if you don't want it, I'll find someone else who does and who's willing to pay. Her mom gets all huffy, tells me I'm not welcome in their house. My now ex-girlfriend tells her mom there's nothing wrong with the sofa, and her mom tells her she's not welcome either. Then she turns around and blames me, saying I'm controlling and didn't need to butt in and stir up trouble with her family. I didn't force her to do anything, but I did point out that it's pretty clear where her loyalty lies when she's defending them over me getting screwed over. And that's where we left it. So about that missing money, I turned the whole house upside down looking for it. Couldn't find a trace. And get this, every single thing we unpacked was accounted for, even down to useless stuff like a blown light bulb. When I ask her about the cash, she immediately goes on the defensive, saying it's somewhere, and alarm bells start ringing in my head. It's like deja vu from last time. Then it hits me, the money I got from my folks was all in £10 notes, and the cash I got from selling the sofa to her mom? Yup, you guessed it, also in £10 notes. So my gut's telling me she swiped my money to hand it over to her mom to pay me. Essentially, I've paid myself minus the chunk she pocketed. I call her out on it, and her response, even if I did take it, I don't care about you anymore, so it doesn't matter. Real classy, right? And it starts to make sense why she was hustling for a loan around the same time she would have snagged the cash. I actually gave her another shot, thought maybe things could work out, but then she goes and pulls this stunt. Sure, I don't have solid proof, but come on, who else could it be? And now she's threatening to spread all sorts of rumors about me, painting me as the villain in this whole mess. Enough's enough though. I've shown her the door for good this time, and honestly, I'm not shedding any tears over it. Now, I'm not taking any chances. Once that little bundle of joy arrives, you can bet I'm getting a DNA test done. I'll do whatever it takes to shield my kid from her toxic family. I mean, she's like poison, It's like some folks are just wired to keep on taking, never bothering to change their ways. But hey, I'm not about to let that toxicity seep into my child's life.